Hello, friends, and welcome to today's episode of Booked. I'm your host, Saffron Asteria, and I'm joined today by Adrian M. Gibson. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm well. I'm excited to talk to you. I have been reading your latest release, which came out a couple of days ago, A Murder Most Fungal, which has been one of the most fascinating books I've read in a long time. So I'm excited to talk to you about it. So this is the last stop of your virtual book tour. For this particular book. How has the tour been?
It's been great, honestly. This has been about 6 weeks. But no, I mean, it's nothing compared to my first one. Like this is my first book, Mushroom Blues, and I did like 2.5 months of a book tour for this one. So
why not?
Why not? Why the fuck not? Right. So this 6-week jaunt has been very chill by comparison.
Yeah.
And it was one of those cases where it's like, for the most part, I just DM'd friends and was like, hey, do you want to have me on your YouTube channel or your podcast or whatnot? And in your case, it was because of my friend Michael Vadney that I heard about your show. And then we ended up setting this up. But it's just been nice. Like I did a much better job this time around of scheduling everything so that it was like, you know, there wasn't too many things happening in a given week. It's all been very spaced out. It's all been very relaxed. This is like my second book release, third if you count the anthology that I launched on Kickstarter last November. So it felt a lot more comfortable than my first go around. So I'm feeling good. Yeah. I'm kind of sad that it's ending, but it's like, it is what it is.
Well, you had the opportunity to do it, which was cool. And I'm sure that like this being the third like big campaign that you've worked on to do with books, it must be easier for you to like pick and choose what you're going to do, what's going to be beneficial to you, like cutting the fat and, you know, not doing 10,000 things to get yourself out there because people are going to know you more.
Yeah.
You know, recognize you more.
No, that's exactly it. And I have been using like the like trim the fat kind of analogy for this whole thing. I'm like, yeah, I learned everything I don't need to do in a 2.5 month book tour. And I've trimmed that down to something that's more sustainable and much easier to handle and manage, like schedule wise and all that kind of stuff in like 6 weeks, you know, and 6 weeks for some people is still kind of a lot, right?
It's quite a lot.
But at the very least, like I know I can manage it. And for me, it kind of feeds into how I like to release books. And so, you know, I've just kind of like focused more on doing the interviews, doing the live streams and things like that, doing a few guest posts here and there, and that kind of thing. But a lot of the extraneous stuff, I just kind of like cut that out because I'm like, yeah, why do I need to add stress to a book launch? You know, when the book itself, like launching the book itself is already a monumental task, let alone being like, oh shit, like I haven't finished, you know, like a guest essay or something that I promised somebody that I would write for their blog or something like that, right?
Yeah. It's I see this with most authors, especially like self-published or small press published. When releasing the first book, they do one of two things. They don't tell anyone about it, or they tell too many people about it.
I was definitely the latter.
The thing. I feel like that's the thing because a lot of people fail to consider who their audience actually is. Like, who is actually going to give a shit about the story you told? And you need to go for those people because those are the people that are going to be invested in you, in your story, in your characters, in your worlds. And as I said before, like having already done that bit, you've kind of already paved the way for yourself. So it makes a lot of sense.
And I mean, even with the first book, like I was pretty clear about like who I was targeting this towards, you know, because it is, I mean, all my books are kind of like genre blenders in a way that is not particularly easy for me to decide on Amazon keywords and figuring out like, you know, like a bookseller would hate me essentially because they're like, I don't know where to categorize your book. Like, what is wrong with you? But I have managed to figure out ways to like market my books and use things like comp titles to give a clear sense of like, this is what you're in for. If you're into those things, then you'll like my book, you know, like if you're into Jeff Vandermeer and China Miéville and Philip K. Dick, then you're going to be into, or like you're probably going to like my book,
Mhm.
or at least be more familiar with like the concepts and the weirdness of it, right? Or
Mhm.
if you're really into like True Detective and sort of more cerebral, weird murder mysteries and police procedurals and those kinds of things,
Mhm.
that's also an analogous thing. Or if you like District 9 and like that weird alien stuff, but like
Mhm.
place insectoid aliens with mushroom people, then you get like a very clear sense of what's going on here. So I was very, very clear. And even with A Murder Most Fungal, I was basically just like, do you like The Bear? Do you like Hong Kong crime thrillers or like Martin Scorsese movies? And do you like mushrooms?
Mm.
There you go. Like I have,
Yeah.
like just trying to be able to like serve people a clear um analogy for like what is my book comparable to, so at
Mhm.
the very least you build this concept in your mind of like, okay, I kind of get what that is. I really love The Bear.
Mhm.
Never seen it mixed with that kind of thing, like, but like maybe I'll give it a shot kind of
Yeah.
approach. So
Comps are invaluable
yeah.
because you're able to introduce yourself to people that have never heard of you before, but they
Mhm.
already have an idea of who you're going to be and what your storytelling ability is. I have to say, I did not know that I knew who you were, but I did. And the reason that I knew who you were or that I'd seen you before was your mini documentary where you'd grown
Oh, really?
on your first
That
book.
was your first
Yes,
introduction to me?
it was. And I was
Wow,
like,
okay.
this dude is cool as shit. And then it just sort of fell out of my brain. And then as I was looking, I was like, your first book looks so familiar to me. And I was like, why
I
does it
saw
look
I saw
familiar?
mushrooms growing from that thing.
And then
Yeah,
because I was putting the links together for the QR code for here,
right.
and I
Yeah, yeah.
was like, I've fucking seen that before.
Yeah, yeah.
And it
Yeah.
was so like iconic, but I should have put two and two together because you are the mushroom guy. Like that should have made sense to me a lot sooner. But I was talking to my
Yeah.
husband earlier. I was like, I know this dude, but like I don't know him. This is very weird.
Yeah.
But that
That was such a fun experiment though.
was
Like,
such a good
yeah, if
marketing
anyone
idea.
doesn't know, just like go to my website,
Mhm.
adrianmgibson.com, and like on the homepage, just scroll down and you'll see like an embedded YouTube link to this like
It's there.
video. There you go.
That's
QR code that, and then hit up the embedded YouTube, and it's just
Mhm.
like, it's literally like a month-long experiment that me and my son did of like
Mhm.
growing mushrooms on a copy of my book. And
That's
then
so
at the
cute.
end of it, I ate them,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna do it again
Oh,
with A
yes.
Murder Most Fungal. Yeah. So I've got a friend who's like a mushroom farmer here in Quito in Ecuador.
Of course you do.
Because of course, right?
Of course you do.
So I've been talking to him, and he's just like, his voice messages in response are like super excited. He's like, "Oh God, like these varieties we can try." And so he wants to
Oh,
do like a bit of an experiment with a few different varietals of mushrooms on this particular book. So
very cool.
yeah.
That's just quality marketing.
I mean, it's like it's on brand, right?
Mhm.
Um, and it kind of got me into this like weird niche of other authors who are trying to like grow shit on their books as well. Where it's like I just ended up like chatting with these authors who are like growing crystals on their books or growing like chia seeds on their books. You know what I mean? Like you remember
See
chia
that.
pets?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they see me growing mushrooms on my book, and then we just end up like chatting over DM, and they're like, what are you growing? What are you growing? It feels like, these like
Great.
it feels like a really seedy conversation explaining it like that, but like, you know, we're literally just growing stuff on our books. But that's,
It's very
that was
cool.
a weird like niche that I did not expect to end up in. Was like
Yeah.
authors, and then like authors who grow stuff on their books.
I
So
I think it's great.
yeah.
I think that's fantastic. We need more people growing things on their art.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree.
yeah, that's sick. I just had to tell you that because I watched it again earlier because I was like, this is crazy. It also was a very entertaining mini documentary. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about your latest release. We're still talking about mushrooms, so if
No, I mean, it's like
we're on the subject.
it's related. Yeah, yeah, it's all good.
Um, so I wanted to talk to you more about the content that you have within this book in relation to chef culture
Mhm.
and also just cooking in general. So I know that you've had experience working in restaurants before.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about why you chose to make this such a huge part of this story?
I mean, it was not entirely purposeful at the beginning because I
Mm,
was just kind of like, I needed something to divert my attention away from like the sheer amount of marketing that I did for my first book.
mhm,
And it had gotten to a point where it was like, this is exhausting, you know? And I think I'm almost like, if I put in any more effort, what are the returns going to be
mm,
on this thing, right? As opposed to just like letting it be its own thing and
mhm,
just the snowball effect has already started. The word of mouth, like I don't like it's more worth it for me to work on something else than it is for me to keep
mhm,
putting marketing effort behind this book. And I'd had this idea for kind of like a side story. Like this character Pocho Jiro has been in my head for a long time. And I was just
mhm,
like, I knew he was a chef. I was like, that'd
mhm,
be really cool, you know? But once I actually started like outlining the book and then drafting it and everything like that, I realized like, okay, this is actually like a really, because at the beginning he just started out as like one chef, basically being like the private chef for the leader of this military occupation.
mhm,
So if anyone's read Mushroom Blues, then you'll kind of understand the context. But if not,
mhm,
there's essentially like a war in which humans from a different part of this world go to this nation of like mushroom people and invade them for reasons that are known to me but not known to the public just yet.
oh,
um, and what starts is this decade-long war called the Spore War, and essentially the humans win the Spore War, and the fungals then become sort of like subjugated, and their land becomes occupied by this human military.
mhm,
And so the leader of this military, he he is kind of this mindset of, in order to rule over my enemy, I have to understand them. I have to
mhm,
understand how they function as a culture. I have to understand how they function spiritually and religiously and everything like that. And within that is food. And so he essentially, as like this experiment, you know, finds this renowned sushi chef named Pocho Jiro, who's like, there are stories told about him kind of thing.
mhm,
And like people like, you know, people are starving. And so they're like sort of nostalgic for the, for the memories of good food. Right.
mhm,
And so stories about this chef are circulating. And so the leader of this occupation seeks him out and says like, I want you to run my private kitchen and cook food, like cook fungal food for me every day.
mhm.
Um, to the chagrin of his like military top brass, who are like, why do we have to eat this crap every day? um and so it started out with just Pocho being like the personal chef, but then I realized like, no, if he's cooking for, he's not just cooking for the leader, he's cooking for, you know, his top brass, he's also guests. So
Oh, you disappeared for a second.
okay,
You're back. It's
yeah.
okay.
So he's not just cooking for this leader, he's cooking for his top brass, he's cooking for
Mhm,
guests. Maybe he has like, you know, like a dinner party or something along those lines, you know,
mhm,
trying to schmooze and impress. And so I was like, no, he actually needs like more than just himself. He needs to have
mhm,
like a full kitchen, right?
mhm,
And so I gave him a full kitchen staff. And that was one of those things where I was just like, at the beginning, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get into cooking, but I didn't necessarily have as heavy a focus on like restaurant culture and chef culture and like
mhm,
professional kitchen culture. But then as I started writing, I was just like, no, this is just like, it's coming out. It's coming out. You know what I mean? And I'm a
mhm,
huge fan of shows like The Bear. I'm a
mhm,
huge fan of food documentaries. Like I love Anthony Bourdain,
mhm.
love Chef's Table, like all these things. And
Chef's table.
so
So
it's so
good.
good. It's so
So
good,
good.
man. But then also like, you know, the more bombastic stuff, like I loved Hell's Kitchen and Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon
Also
Ramsay
a
when I
big
was
fan.
younger.
Mhm,
Yeah. So anything like cooking related, I'm really into.
mhm,
And so I was like, okay, I can draw on my love for these things, pull inspiration from that. And then I can also pull inspiration from my own experience working in restaurants and kitchens during like my 20s. And so that was kind of the point where I was like, okay, it's not just a personal chef. It is a private kitchen. And how can I then utilize this dynamic of like, here's 6 mushroom people who are cooking meals every day for the leader of the occupation that is subjugating their people. And so it immediately became this really intense moral dilemma. And kitchens are just like rife with drama already. It's just kind of like baked into that environment and that culture. And so it's like, okay, perfect. Like this is already like the basis for an interesting dramatic story. And then why not like turn it into a crime thriller and throw gangsters and blackmail and stuff like that into the mix? You know, why not? Why not? So, I was really happy with how it evolved because I kind of needed that dynamic of like this chef being in charge of other people again, that sort of kitchen hierarchy and how that functions, and just sort of like establishing how kitchen culture works in this particular society and how that reflects society as a whole. But then also throw in the dynamics of, yeah, these are people who are like occupied by a, you know, another nation who's trying to like rule them and colonize them. And so how does that dynamic become twisted as individuals within the kitchen develop their own senses of sort of morality and purpose within the context of the kitchen, but then within the context of like the broader circumstances, right?
Yeah. So like they're able to still exercise their craft, which is a privilege given the situation that they're in, but
and eat good food, like have access to food that they wouldn't have access to anymore as well. But
they're also basically prisoners.
Yeah. They're kind of like, they're like indentured servants, borderline slaves kind of thing.
Yeah. It feels like a real kitchen. Just before I ask a very specific question about diets. I just wanted to say hi to Tobias, who has joined us. Hello. Thank you so much for being here. And the man himself, Michael Vadney.
Michael, thanks for being here, buddy.
A little over halfway through the book right now.
Nice.
So, okay. Here's something that I don't know if you've been asked before, but these are mushroom people. Okay.
Yeah.
So they have the ability to communicate with one another through their like networks, and they have mushrooms growing from them, and there are lots of like mushroomy things about them as people. I've noticed that they also eat mushrooms, and that freaked me out. Why? Why are they? What is it? Is it like a different kind of mushroom? Is it not like cannibalism? That confused me.
Yeah, I mean, it is addressed in Mushroom Blues.
Okay.
The cannibalism thing, but no, I love hearing about this because people are just like, yo, isn't that cannibalism, dude?
I'm just curious. It's okay if it is.
Cannibalism is a matter of perspective, right? So no, but it was something that was kind of like, it started as an in-joke because the blog that I'm part of, Fanfi Addict, there were just like some running jokes in the DMs, and one of them was like, is eating a mermaid cannibalism? And it was like this question that you ask people, and it was like, oh my god, like, is it? And it just really, it got people thinking in a very like strange way, and ended up resulting but I threw it in there just as like an in joke for my friends, basically. But then what spawned from that was me actually thinking about like, okay, well then, like why would they eat mushrooms, kind of thing. And within the context of like the mushroom people, they are essentially like all part of like one organism. This sort of like, you could call it like a super colony, essentially, where yes, they are technically eating a mushroom, and that mushroom has like some degree of sentience, but it just hasn't taken the form that like a mushroom person within that network, that colony has taken.
Mhm.
But in their view, from like a very spiritual perspective, within their like in-world religion,
Mhm.
if they're consuming one of these kinds of mushrooms, it's essentially like feeding back into the cycle of life and death and feeding back into the greater whole of the organism. So it's
Mm.
not necessarily like killing that particular mushroom, because like all the people, it's like if you go into someone's kitchen, it's like their house is made out of like mycelium and mushrooms and everything.
Mhm.
And like you can just imagine a kitchen counter that has like a little mushroom farm
Mhm.
kind of thing going on there, and that's all just feeding back into the greater whole, right?
Mm.
So it's not necessarily like they're just consuming like the organic matter of that particular mushroom, but it's like the essence of it, the spirit of it is feeding back into like the greater spirit of,
Mm.
they have like the great beyond, which is their sort of afterlife and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And then they have the fungal net, which is the way they're all interconnected through this broader mycelial network that
Mhm.
allows them to communicate with each other in a variety of ways, but then also just like their deities and everything that they believe when it comes to gods and goddesses and all those kinds of things.
Mhm.
So it's not necessarily like I'm I'm eating this thing and it's dying within me kind of thing. It's like I'm just consuming this organic matter, and
Mhm.
eventually like my own, like, I mean, in this case, it's kind of like a meat slash mushroom sack is going to decompose and be given back to the earth, and
Mhm.
my spirit is going to be separated from that and eventually become part of like the greater
Mhm.
sort of spirit. So it's more in line with that thinking
That
in
makes
this
sense.
in this sort of like symbiotic cycle of uh life and death,
Mhm.
decomposition and rejuvenation,
Mhm.
and that kind of thing. So
It's much more pleasant than they're eating the babies.
yeah.
Which would also have been fine in fiction, but I just was very curious about that. As I haven't read Mushroom Blues, which I'm going to have to now, I was like, "What the fuck is going on?"
But I love that. I love that people are thinking about that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, because it's so heavily focused on food and
Yeah.
the two main sort of races, it does make you think about the mechanisms. And I mean, you already mentioned the religion. Um, I'm curious when you are writing something that has such depth of information in terms of the world building, how do you keep it consistent and how do you keep it organized? Or does it just kind of come out of your head and onto the page and hopefully it all sticks?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't have like a world Bible or anything.
Mhm.
So a lot of that information is in my head,
Mhm.
but it's just like I spent so many years world building this world before I even started writing in it.
Mm.
So I spent like a couple of years just like drawing and sketching, and I mean like this this is like one
So
of like
cool.
the earlier drawings that I did of like a fungal person.
Mhm.
Um and that was basically like my world building process early on, was like a
Mm.
lot of notes. I have like notebooks full of stuff and ideas.
Mhm.
And then I have just like a ton of drawings of fungal people, of architecture and environments and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
so all of that just kind of like stuck in my head. And then as I've been writing, so it's like writing Mushroom Blues was kind of like a manifestation of a lot of those ideas
Mm.
in terms of like how does it actually function, not only on like a world building level but also on a narrative level. And then the Stem Cutter's Daughter, which is like a novelette that I wrote for the Book of Spores anthology,
Mhm.
that one goes like thousands of years into the past.
Mm.
And it's much more focused because it's like a young fungal girl
Mhm.
just trying to save her village from like a plague. And so
Mm.
there's like a smaller cast of characters and they're only fungal people. There's no humans at all. And so that allowed me to kind of fine tune and kind of home in on like, here are like some fundamental aspects of how this world works, how the fungal people work. And
Mhm.
then A Murder Most Fungal was, an extension of that.
Mm.
And so it's kind of like I'm sort of like establishing these rules that I ideated early on in my like world building process,
Mhm.
but now through the stories themselves I'm kind of like solidifying them bit by bit, and allowing the stories to kind of reveal to me like opportunities where it's like, yeah, now's probably a good time to like figure out exactly how that works in order for you not to like write yourself into a goddamn hole later on. So
Which is easily done.
it's so easily done. It's so easily done. And in the case of A Murder Most Fungal, it's like it's from the perspective of this fungal chef. And so this story and the stem cutter's daughter were essentially like me establishing this is how, from the perspective of a fungal person, this is how they communicate with one another. This is how they sense the world. This is how they interact with the world. And this is how they are able to like manipulate their own biology and everything like that. And so that was really fun for me to kind of like, I'd shown some of these things in Mushroom Blues, but it's from the perspective of a human. And so for her, it's just kind of this like shocking, weird thing. But for the fungal people, it's like, no, this is just their normal. And so it's just life, man. And so it was really important for me to solidify like, okay, if they're like emoting to each other, or if they're sending essentially like brain to brain communications to each other, like how does that work? And how can I display that on the page in a way that is understandable for people, sort of like within the realm of like, this is the kind of like sentence, paragraph formatting, grammar structure that people are used to. How can I show them that A, this is different, but B, I'm not trying to confuse you. I want you to understand what the hell is actually going on, or like what people are saying.
Well, there is so much going on though, because you have the fungal people where they're like communicating with each other, but they're also having like actual verbal communication, and sometimes it's in their language, sometimes it's in the human language, and there's all this stuff going on. But I appreciate all of the like, I don't know, the way that you've laid it out and the way that you've presented that information for me personally was easy to read and easy to like play that film in my head.
Because that's something that I try very hard to do, because I know that there's like multiple layers going on. So it's like I'm very conscious of laying down like these context clues for which language is being spoken, or like how someone is communicating something. You know, if someone's thinking from one cap to another, I'm using different words. So I'll say like they're sensing to that other person, or projecting, or casting, or something along those lines. So I've changed the actual verb usage in order to be like, yeah, they're not actually saying that out loud. They're you know, projecting that across this network through chemical signals, basically. And so it was like a very, very purposeful use of you know, like speech tags and specific verbs, and also context clues for, okay, so now they're talking to a human, so maybe they're going to talk in like broken human language or something along those lines, right?
Yeah. It's an incredibly visual book for something that's largely text. So you started off with sketches and notes and you know, actually creating visual media for your own reference and part of your creative process. Was there any point where you were like, this is going to be a graphic novel, or this is going to be a film, before you decided you were going to write books?
I mean, since the beginning of creating the shared universe, I've always had the intention of it being multimedia. Just that books for me were kind of like the best gateway into showing what this world was capable of, because like self-publishing books is it's more popular than say something like comics or graphic novels. B, just like the self-publishing infrastructure is something that I could manage myself. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, now I actually am in the process of working on a graphic novel with a friend of mine, and
That's cool.
us understanding how to apply the self-publishing infrastructure to that project. It'll take some experimenting and seeing like, okay, how do the proofs turn out? Like, what's the actual quality like, and all this kind of stuff. Is it up to our standards? But it is possible. And then, you know, stuff like films and video games and anime and that kind of stuff, which is like my dream for it to eventually expand into those realms, are much, much harder without proof of concept. And so it's like, for me to have an established universe in books, expand to graphic novels. I'm also working on an audio drama script with a friend of mine that's also set in this universe. And so it's like experimenting with different mediums and figuring out like what's possible, but also using all of this sort of like as an established
like
sort of like
framework.
framework, but also like resume to be like, hey, if at some point there's like potential interest from, let's say, like an anime studio or like an indie game studio or something like that, be like, hey, here's like all of this art that exists, from my covers to a graphic novel to commissioned artwork and all this kind of stuff. This is what it sounds like in audio, in the form of like an audio drama. And so you can kind of figure out these different elements of like visual and sound, and then the actual like world building and stuff that's in text in the books, to more clearly understand how it could be applied to different mediums when there's more like risk and budget and all that kind of stuff involved. And so I was like, books are the least risky medium for me to expand this universe at the beginning, and everything else is kind of like piece by piece, going to see what is possible and when, and then just sort of like build that portfolio essentially to one day be like, hey, anime studio, or like people who make Castlevania, you want to make a Fungalverse anime or something along those lines, right?
I am absolutely certain you're going to do very well with it.
Thank you.
I really am, because it's going to lend itself so well to multimedia use, and being able to show whoever is going to be picking this up and giving you 6-figure deals or whatever, you know, it shows them your creative direction as well. And if you already have this established fan base and you know, all the things that you've already done, it means that they also can't stray too far, because otherwise the fans will get angry.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm looking at someone like Matt Dinneman as an example.
I was just thinking about
everything he's been able to do with DCC, and it's basically like awesome. I love that he's expanded it into like webtoons and comics and all this kind of stuff, and like just like I think it was like yesterday or something like that, that, you know, there's official like greenlit series is coming out on, I think, Peacock.
Yes. I'm so excited.
And so it's like that kind of thing is like the way Matt's handling everything. And I'm actually going to see him in December, so I'm going to pick his brain about this.
Oh, that'd be nice.
It's just like, for me, it's really heartening to see a creator who's started out in indie and been able to develop his career into like this amazing, explosive sort of like pop culture moment, right?
Yeah.
And now, and
amazing.
And to see how he's managed everything, and at the same time retaining so much creative control, for me is like, I'm looking at that and being like, okay, these are big lessons for me to take. Because if I were to like take this book to, or this world to like a traditional publisher, you know, it's niche and I know how to sell it, but I don't know if like a sales department or a marketing department would be willing to invest in it based on the sort of confusing genre variability involved in this, right? So it's like, you know, I mean, I'm just like, all of my friends who are in traditional publishing, it's like I'm looking at so many of them, and their books are like, you know, this is not a knock against anybody, a lot of their books are more mainstream, right? Or they're much more focused in terms of like, I am writing, you know, heist fantasy, or I am writing like epic fantasy, or I am writing you know, space opera or something along those lines, or whatever it may be. Those are very clear sort of genre frameworks that a sales department and a marketing department can be like, okay, I kind of know what to do with this, right? And I've seen too many books kind of, you know, come out, book one even though there's supposed to be a series, it ends up getting dropped
Mm-hmm.
or something like that by the publisher,
Yeah.
which to me would just be like the most heartbreaking thing ever.
Oh, it'd be devastating. Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to put myself in those shoes. And so I'd rather retain creative control for this particular universe,
Mm-hmm.
and then just slowly develop it in ways where I can experiment with medium and kind of test the boundaries of what this particular world is capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so we'll start with, we've already got books, but then we'll see how it goes with the comic. We'll
Mm-hmm.
see how it goes with audio drama and kind of play it from there.
You're gonna do just fine, I think. It's the kind of thing that you and the fandom will sell. It's not
Yeah.
something that, as you say, like mainstream will necessarily be able to like put you in the right lane.
Mhm.
But I mean, if you look at Dungeon Crawler Carl, for example, I have never read a lit RPG before. And I saw the title and I was buying it for my basically brother-in-law.
Mhm.
And I read the back and I was like, oh, that sounds quite fun, actually. So I picked up 2 copies and I read like every book in like a month or something ridiculous like that until, well, I was waiting for the last one to come out. But I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck has happened to me? I couldn't have been sold that unless I'd have accidentally like stumbled upon it like I did.
Right,
You're probably
right.
going to get similar things where people are going to go, whoa, this is amazing. I never would have known that I would have
Yeah.
liked this thing before.
Mhm.
And that's what's happening with that as well. You're getting people going, okay, fine, I'll give it a go because lots of people I know have said that it's really good, but it's not something I'd like. And they're like, oh shit, this is my identity now.
Yeah. No, and I think that's one of the coolest things about self-publishing and indie from my perspective is just
Mhm.
like, you know, it doesn't have to be a matter of chasing trends. Like you can do a lot of experimentation, and authors have the ability to create trends that then a traditional publisher or a movie studio or a TV studio or what have you will be like,
Mhm.
oh, that's like they can kind of pick up on the fact that the indie zeitgeist is already
Mhm.
like revolving around this particular thing.
Yep.
And then they're like, okay, how can we
Monetize
capitalize that? Yeah,
it.
capitalize that and then take it to the mainstream
Mhm.
kind of thing and take it
Yeah.
to like the next level. And so that for me is kind of the interesting thing about self-publishing is the ability to do that, to take those risks
Mhm.
that publishers would never take, and then kind of create something that becomes, you know, maybe the start of a subgenre or
Mhm.
whatever. I mean, it's like you just look at cozy fantasy and things like
Yeah.
Legends and Lattes, or you look at
Mhm.
romantasy, and like so many of the biggest romantasy authors have been pulled from self-pub,
Mhm.
and these genres that didn't really seem like
Actual
a
things.
viable path
Yeah.
or a a thing worth capitalizing on
Mhm.
earlier on. Now the publishers are like clamoring for it, right? And
Oh.
hopefully not like in the way that they did with something like dystopian YA, where they clamor for it so much that they end up creating this oversaturation and then this bubble, and then eventually the bubble bursts and
Mhm.
people are kind of sick of that thing.
Yeah.
Um that's kind of like the darker end of like that spectrum, right?
But that's not always gonna happen. I think some
No, no,
things
no.
are timeless. But
Yeah.
you have a leg up with this whole thing, and that you are like a really, 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 really good artist and a writer. So a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm really good at the writing, but you can do all your own artwork. You're a book designer.
Yeah.
Um, that is a skill I don't have. I don't have either of those skills. So you're like, you're already doing really, really, really well.
Thank
Um,
you.
so, so why did you start writing? Because you already had this like cool art thing going on.
It was mostly the pandemic, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I mean that like I have a lot of friends who was exactly that. They're just like,
Mhm.
huh, what's something that I can do at home for free? I
Yeah,
can write.
imagination on the
Yeah,
page.
exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of like I'd had a 7-year tattoo career, and
Really?
yeah, so like
That's cool.
my art, like my actual like professional,
Mhm.
like my actual art profession was tattooing.
That's sick.
So like I had a studio here in Quito
Mhm.
and everything, and yeah, just like pandemic hit and nobody needs a tattoo during a pandemic.
Yeah,
So
that's a post-pandemic thing.
yeah. I mean, that's like something people do once the storm has cleared and they need something to sort of
Channel the trauma.
channel their trauma and like compartmentalize in the form of like pain and awesome art
Mhm.
kind of thing. I mean, it's like a fucked up form of therapy. I always
It's
kind of
stunning
equated
though.
myself. I always compared myself to like I am part artist, part like mechanic, just like that small part of it that was like
Mhm,
I'm, learning how to like fix and build tattoo machines and stuff like that.
mhm.
And then there's like this other part of it that is like I'm legit a therapist
Yes.
for
Yeah.
a lot of people.
Yep.
Um, so that career kind of just like came to a head
Mhm.
once the pandemic hit, and I was like, I have to close down my shop, and
Sad.
just my wife was pregnant with our first child at that time, and so we
Mhm.
were just like, we're just at home, so like, I don't know, she was pregnant, so she was just chilling for the most part. um she's just like, what are you gonna do? And I was like, I don't know, man. So I just ended up going deep into drawing. So it's like I did a lot of
Mhm.
that like world building stuff that I was telling you about.
Mhm.
And then after my son was born, um and we decided that I was going to be a stay-at-home dad, then
That's cool.
it was kind of this moment of like, okay, I'm at home with my son,
Mhm.
but there's still other stuff I can do with my life, right?
Mhm.
And so that's when I started getting into like blogging and stuff, with Fanfiatic specifically.
Mhm.
And then that very quickly spun into like, yeah, you know what? I don't actually love like I love like thinking about books critically, but I don't
Mm.
love like being a book reviewer and like posting reviews and on the blog and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And so I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to start a podcast because that's something that I've always wanted to do.
Mhm.
And so I concurrently, when I was getting more serious about writing, I decided I'm going to start SFF Addicts, which is the podcast that I
Mhm.
have been doing since August of 2021. And that was basically my way to be like, I'm going to start a podcast so that I can pick the brains of professional writers for free.
I don't know who else would do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it's a bewildering concept, right?
Yes. I don't know why you
So
be helpful in any way.
yeah, but it's like, it's a great thing though, where you can chat with professionals
Mhm.
and learn about writing craft and then post it on the internet for other people to find, and hopefully it's useful for them too,
Mhm.
right? And so it's like, yes, there's a part of it that is a bit selfish, but it's also promotion for the author. It's also
Mhm.
helpful for the other writers out there who want more content like that
Mhm.
online to help them get through, you know, the stages of outlining and drafting and revising and all these kinds of things. And on top of that, like helping them understand the intricacies of self-publishing or
Mhm.
things on the trad side where it's like querying agents and all those kinds of things. And so it's like that podcast basically just stemmed from like, I'm going to take writing more seriously, and I'm going to start this podcast in order to like facilitate that
Mhm.
basically. And yeah, no, here I am like almost 5 years later,
Still smashing it.
and yeah, still doing the podcast. Now I've got two amazing co-hosts,
Mhm.
MJ Kuhn and Greta Kelly, and published two books
Mhm.
and run like a very successful Kickstarter campaign. And,
That
we've
was
got a bunch of stuff.
amazing to watch,
Thank
by
you.
the way.
Yeah.
That
So
was cool.
yeah. So basically it started as like me being a staying at home dad
Mhm.
and deciding like I can't just like sit on my ass because I'm never been that type of person.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's very cool. And you are still running with it, which I think is really the key thing,
yeah.
is that it's not like an overnight thing. You've obviously put in like thousands and thousands of hours into your craft and
Mhm.
building your brand as well. Like you are a recognizable brand of a person because of all the things that you do and the things that you contribute to the community. So all of those things are really key to, I imagine, quite a lot of your success of people being able to find what you're doing.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it's like if you want to find me, like I'm very easy to find online.
Mhm,
So it's kind of one of those cases where it's like I knew going into it that
mhm,
me publishing a book, it could benefit from the audience and the community that we built around the podcast.
Yeah.
But just knowing how social media
Disappeared again.
tattoo war was like,
you're back
again.
It was seconds. It's fine.
So coming from tattoo world, it's like I understood that having a certain amount of followers does not equate to anything commercially viable.
Yeah,
it does not like a follower does not equal a customer, and so I was very aware of like becoming a content creator wasn't necessarily going to be like every single person who listens to my podcast is going to pick up my book or anything along those lines.
Yeah.
And so I was very pragmatic about that. But I also understood that it's like the involvement that I have in the community and the goodwill and everything like that, and the relationships that I developed have gone a long way to make it easier for me to do things like, asking people for help with a cover reveal and doing a book tour and things along those lines. And this community is like much smaller than people may realize. And so it's kind of like, yeah, somebody, and then that person knows like 20 other people, but then those 20 other people probably know both of you and people that know. And so it's like this really interconnected web of creators and authors and podcasters and bloggers and all this different kind of stuff. Everyone's fucking mixed together. Like most people know each other, or at the very least, like they follow somebody, they know their content, they know what they're doing, and that kind of thing. And so for me, establishing that stuff earlier on was really important, just for me to understand, like, how the hell do I do this? Because I developed these relationships with authors, and I was just like, email a few of them, message a few of them, be like, hey, so like how, like how do I publish a book? And so like Ryan Cahill is one of them. He was just like, hey man, let's jump on a call and I'll just like run you through a list of the shit that you got to do.
That's so
and so like that kind of stuff is super valuable, because otherwise I would just be jumping into this cold and not knowing how to do it. And it's just like, you can't teach a kid to swim by just like throwing them in a pool and expecting the best.
You say that. I've seen people do that before.
That is like, but like, I'm just talking about like percentages.
Okay.
Like how many of the kids who are thrown into a pool pick it up immediately versus how many? Some, not all.
I used to, when I was at school, like primary school, I think you guys call it elementary school.
Yeah.
Are you from America originally?
Canada.
Okay. I'm sorry. That was rude of me. I'm not good with accents. Or
I'm Commonwealth. It's okay.
Oh, phew. I knew that's why we vibed.
Just hail the Queen.
King.
No,
anyway,
it's always the Queen for me. Sorry.
That's fine. I don't know them, so it's okay. But we used to get taken to a public swimming pool for swimming lessons, and more often than not, there was this dude with a newborn baby.
Yeah.
Just with a like a rugby ball, launching this baby into the public swimming pool, and it would just pop up again. So in my mind, I'm like, that's just what you do with babies.
Yeah, I mean that's fucking savage.
It's fantastic. The baby was
but I will say though, like, I mean, like the buoyancy factor of a baby is much different than a toddler versus like a child. Yeah. So, that's bold though. That's bold. Wow.
You just get used to it after a couple of weeks. You're like, oh, the man's back throwing his baby again.
So there we go. In the world of self-publishing, are you going to be a baby tossed into a pool like a rugby ball? I didn't want to do that, so I asked friends.
Safer option, to be honest. It's the road already traveled. And you don't have to be flinging babies. But I think that is such an important part of this whole process, because when I've told people this before on the show, but I worked with this guy who self-published a book out of nowhere in a totally unrelated field. And I was like, well, I want to write a book as well. This was years ago. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? And he said, you know what the thing is that he did wrong the first time, that he would do differently the next time if he could start again, is to find his people before he finished his book. And that is the absolute key, because if you're a stranger coming into the writing community and being like, by the way, I've already written 7 books, it's going to be much harder for people to trust that you're a real person. And it's that genuine connection that I think some people are missing that is so important to
especially
survival.
nowadays. I know we didn't want to say anything about
Just
AI,
say it,
but
it's fine.
no, but like there's just like a deep skepticism now where people are just like so untrusting of just like anything that is unknown. And it's like, you know, we're all existing in this fucking Plato's cave kind of situation, and that cave,
commune, but
but like that the walls of that cave are just like bouncing with whispers of AI, and so people are like developing that community beforehand kind of allows you to just sort of like learn best practices and figure out ways of approaching this craft and this industry and publishing and all of it in a way that is you know, just kind of like doing your due diligence, but at the same time, like you're existing in this community, you're also going to come into contact with human artists, and those people are going to be so cool and, you know, so open to collaborating and everything like that. And obviously there's like a big price tag involved sometimes when it comes to things like cover art and design and all that kind of stuff. But I think understanding that there are real people behind the stories and there are real people behind the art, and then people in the community seeing you and everything that you create and associating you with like, this person is genuine about their craft and they're not taking shortcuts and that kind of thing goes a long way to sort of help you just sort of establish like, you know, I am Adrian M. Gibson, but like these are sort of like my, I don't know, sort of almost like certifications, if that makes sense, you know?
It does. It really does make sense, because it's very hard to shake off a reputation.
Yeah.
Especially online where everything has receipts. So to be known as somebody who puts in a lot of effort and is genuine and, you know, creates like this validity almost. And I kind of love seeing people like on the struggle bus a little bit with their work, and then they come through. But what I mean is like, I don't know, I'll see people post and say, oh, I'm really stuck on this manuscript. And then 2 weeks later, they're like, Eureka, I've got it. I just needed to have a shower. And it makes me feel so good.
I needed to have a shower 2 weeks later.
I meant like a shower thought. Sometimes, look, depression gets the best of some of us, okay?
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes
I'm alone in my apartment. I can have a little bit of stank. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's all right. It's okay to wallow in your own filth if you're an artist, because it's part of the process.
Yeah, I'm a struggling. that is like the modern day equivalent of like, I can be a struggling artist, you know?
Yes, it is.
I haven't showered in a week.
Look, hey, no judgment. If that's what's going on, if you're watching this right now and it's been 2 weeks since you've had a shower and you have access to a shower, give it a go. You might feel better.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe you'll solve something about your story along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I didn't get a chance to ask you many food questions because of time.
Yeah, let's go back into food. Yeah.
I've got some questions for you, but I missed Mike Molman joining us. Hello.
Mike, how you doing, buddy?
And Chris. Hello. Nice to see you.
Bouncing boredom. Bonjour. I don't know where you're from, but
I think England.
Okay. he's just being spicy with his French.
Maybe.
Or maybe he knows that I'm from Canada. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'd have chosen his username specifically for this.
Bouncing boredom.
I think it was that before. Maybe it was a big work up to this point, and it's been very exciting for him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Food.
So, do you cook much at home?
Every day.
Okay.
Every day. Yeah.
What kinds of things do you cook?
I mean, it's kind of a mix of things in the sense that like food is just one of those integral things in my everyday, you know, parenting kind of thing. It's like part of my responsibility is like feeding these kids and making sure that they don't die.
So, thing, isn't
it? Yeah. I mean, it's like main things is just like put you to sleep and put food in your stomach. Everything else is optional.
Yeah.
And a bonus and whatnot. So But like I've gotten to a point in my life where I just like I'm happy to cook for them every day, you know? It's like usually my wife is the one that makes breakfast and then I'll do lunch and dinner. And lunch is great because it's just me and my 3-year-old at home and we'll just like what do you want to cook today? And we'll just like, you know, scrounge through the fridge and come up with some stuff. But honestly, at this point, it's like it's pretty eclectic. And some days we'll, because we have a lot of cookbooks and stuff as well. So like some days we'll be like, yeah, maybe we want to do something a little bit more Vietnamese. Maybe we want to do like a stir fry. There's a lot of like Ecuadorian fusion stuff that there's just like a lot of amazing ingredients in South American food.
Yeah, no kidding.
And Ecuadorian food. So it's like, okay, I grew up and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck a plantain is. And
they're delicious is what they are.
They're so good. But also it's like, okay, we have savory plantains, which are the green ones. And then we have the ones that are sweet, which are like mature ones. And so it's like, I mean, literally in Spanish, it's just like one is called verde, green, and the other is called maduro, mature. And I'm like, thank you for being so
that's nice,
like on the ball about like what this thing is. But just like the bounty of ingredients that are available in Ecuador is pretty amazing in terms of the fruits and vegetables and just like the there's like seasonality, yes, but there's never winter. And so there's just like fresh produce, local produce all year round. And then we also have like veggies and stuff growing in the backyard. And then so it's just like we'll just figure out like what do we want to make, you know, maybe it'll be a mix of like you know, kind of like curry chicken, but we'll get like some asparagus and some sweet potatoes in there. It's just like just mix it up all the time. Honestly, like my vibe these days is what is fresh, what is flavorful, and what mixes well together. And so I'll figure out like, okay, what do we got in terms of like veggies and maybe like a carb like rice or sweet potatoes or plantains or something like that. And then what do we have for protein? And then I'll just like come up with some combination on the spot, and me and my son will just like, you know, turn it into a game basically. So
I love that. That's really cool. Get them started young with
cooking. Oh yeah. Like they love cooking. They love, I mean, obviously they love eating. If they didn't, it would just like
die.
So I just like I spend a lot of time, like me and my wife, just familiarizing them with what it means to grow things. And like they love going out into the backyard and be like, you know, this asparagus is getting too tall, and my son will just like run out there with scissors and cut that thing down. You know what I mean?
So cool.
But then also and then also familiarizing them with like, okay, like you guys like to eat, you know, these types of meat or this type of seafood. Like this is what this thing actually looks like as an animal. And then like this is, you know, because my wife, her family grew up on a farm in like rural Ecuador, so we go back there, we have a farmhouse, you know, they've seen, you know, chickens and pigs and lamb being butchered and stuff like that, so they understand the whole process of just like the cycle of life and the cycle of food and nutrition and all that kind of stuff. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
What these kids are either going to grow up as chefs or they're going to be writers, and they're going to have like memoirs talking about how they did these things as they were children. Because that's the kind of shit that like celebrity chefs did in their childhoods.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I could see it, like, you know, I mean, right now my son's like obsessed with World Cup, so it's like maybe he could be like a footballer and a chef, like, you know.
Yeah, maybe
that'd be pretty cool.
That would be really cool. Be like the fittest, healthiest person on the planet.
I know, Jesus Christ.
So what is it's okay if you need a minute to think about this. What is the best thing you've ever eaten that you still think about?
Yeah, I don't need time. I know what it is.
Oh, it's amazing.
Because actually I did an interview with Grimdark Magazine last week, and Esme, the interviewer, was like, "What's one question nobody has asked you on this tour that you have been wanting to answer?" And I was just like, "Nobody's asked me what my favorite dish is, like what my favorite meal has been." So you're literally the first person who's asked me, and I'm so thankful for that. Okay, let me take you back to Split, Croatia in 2014.
Okay.
So yeah, 12 years ago. This is after I first moved to Berlin with my girlfriend at the time, and we just decided like let's go somewhere on vacation. Like we can just go for like a week, and then we just looked at a bunch of places, and like flights are so cheap in Europe, and so we're just like, cool, we're only going to take carry-ons and let's find somewhere beautiful to go. And so we ended up going to Croatia. So we went to Dubrovnik, and then we went up the coast to a town called Split. And Split is like absolutely beautiful. It's basically just like this beachside town, and it's like, if anyone doesn't know, like the Baltics have some of like the most gorgeous coastlines and just like geography anywhere. It's like Albania, Montenegro, Croatia, Bosnia, like all these different places. And it's like, oh yeah, like hype Greece and Italy. It's like, bro, no. I mean, come on.
Tell the tourists about it.
Yeah, no, I mean it's like literally like a quarter of the price of these different, you know, oversaturated touristy spots and whatever. So we went to Croatia. Amazing, super cheap. That was kind of like the big thing there was Game of Thrones being filmed in different parts of Croatia.
Oh,
so
really?
like
Yeah,
so like King's Landing was filmed in Dubrovnik. There were a bunch of like there were just Game of Thrones tours everywhere, and that was before the horrible finale, so people were still hyped on it. So just serious shade thrown there, but
we all get it. It's like,
yeah. So we were just wandering around Split at night, and we'd just been like wandering the city, and it's super beautiful. It has like ancient Roman sort of like ruins and old town. It used to be basically be like a Roman bath resort town, where like rich Romans would go as like their like little getaway to like this bath villa basically. So get some massages and shit. And now it's a beautiful town in Croatia. So we were just wandering around, and we really lost track of time and realized like, oh shit, it's getting, you know, I think it was like, you know, 8 or 9 kind of thing. We're just like, we haven't eaten dinner. And so we just kept wandering around, like, let's like look for some places and see what kind of stands out. And we ended up walking past this little hole in the wall, and we just smelled it first, and it smelled amazing. Like I remember just smelling like it was like a combination of like cumin and tomato, and it was really, really strong. And so we just dipped into this place, and it was like probably had enough room for like 10 people to sit down kind of thing. And it was empty, and it was just this, because I mean we were there like on like I think it was like a Monday or Tuesday night or something like that. And if anyone works in restaurants, it's like Monday and Tuesday are kind of dead zones. And so we just went in there, and it was a son, like a middle-aged son, and his elderly mother. The son was running front of house, and the mother was running the kitchen.
That's cool.
And they were so happy to see us, and they were just like, oh, sit down, and everything like that. And he, like, you know, they brought us like fresh olives and homemade bread and all this kind of stuff. And he's just like, oh, like, you know, try some of our house wine and everything. And, you know, bringing out, like, I can't remember the name of this like Croatian hard liquor, but giving us like shots of this kind of thing. And then he just asked, like, what would you like to eat? And we're just like, you know, like, let your mom make whatever she wants for us, basically. And dude, she made this unreal octopus stew that was just like, I couldn't even describe it at the time. It was one of those meals where you just like sit in silence because you're speechless about how fucking good it is. And it was this octopus stew it was on a bed of like really, really good potatoes. But you know those potatoes that are like, they have this like really rich, like almost orangey yellow color to them, and they actually have flavor. Unlike, I mean, you're from the UK, so it's a bit different, but like you go to like the States and stuff, I'm like, your potatoes are tasteless.
They're shit.
They're shit. So it was on this bed of potatoes, and then it was like carrot, onion, tomato stew on top of that, and then just like this utterly perfect like tentacle of octopus. Wow. And it was like, you could tell that octopus had been like stewing for hours, you know, because like with octopus, there's either like you cook it like a little bit or you cook it a lot. but she cooked it a lot, and it was so fucking tender, and it was
Wow.
so good. And it's like, you know, when you like take a knife to a brick of butter and it just
Mhm.
like slides right through.
Mhm.
That was this octopus.
Wow.
And it was so good because it was like it had absorbed so much of the flavors and the spices,
Mhm.
and it just like melt in your mouth. It was unbelievable. And that's one of those like that's a meal where I knew in that moment like this is one of the best things I've ever eaten.
Wow.
And like all these years later, I still think about it, and I'm like telling my wife, who wasn't my girlfriend back then, that was my ex-girlfriend at the time.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, yeah, we got to go back to Croatia. Like, we got to take the boys to Croatia because it's like it's cheap and
Mhm.
it's a great vacation, but just like there's so much stuff to do, and
Mhm.
like, you know, just like the combination of food and history and adventure and all this kind of stuff is
Mhm.
just so yeah.
Europe is banging for food,
Yeah.
especially like fresh food. I knew you were going to say seafood. I knew it. There's something about you as a person that made me think you probably really like seafood. And I was
I
like,
mean, I'm kind of an anomaly in my family though,
mm,
because like I grew up on the coast of British Columbia,
mhm,
where there's amazing seafood, like
mhm,
some of the best in the world. And, you know, my family wasn't huge into like my mom doesn't like shellfish.
mhm,
You know, she'll eat like whitefish and salmon.
mhm.
Like multiple of my brothers don't like fish. And so I'm kind of like I'm just like the strange anomaly where I'm like, yep, give me octopus, give me squid, give me shellfish, give me oysters, give me like literally anything, you
Mhm.
know? Give me like squid ink risotto with this with the squid on top, like I'll devour that. You know what I mean? And then here's my family just like so close to all these things.
Mhm.
And in British Columbia, we have like some of the best salmon in the world. We
Mhm.
have some of the best oysters in the world. We have amazing octopus. We have amazing shellfish. We have river crustaceans. We have like
Mhm.
ocean crustaceans, all this different kind of stuff. And here's my family just like fucking, you
Ew.
know, spaghetti and meatballs.
Aw. Well, at least you can
So
appreciate it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it required me to go through my own cultural and
Mhm.
culinary awakening in order to understand that, like, okay, these things are there and they are delicious,
Mhm.
and I am not going to let my palate be denied these potential flavors, right?
Yeah. Asking you that question explained so much about this book to me. Like, the you can tell when people are, like, into food, and you're
Yeah,
really very much into food, and that's very
yeah.
Um, this time has gone by so fucking quickly. I was like, "Oh, it's probably been 40 minutes." No, it's been much longer than that, which is great.
Yeah,
But I want to be able to ask the 2 questions I always ask every guest before
yeah.
the end of the show, if you have time, if that's okay.
Of course, of course.
So, as a writer, what does success look like to you?
I mean, it's kind of interesting because I started this out not really expecting much,
Mm,
because Mushroom Blues was basically like me saying, I'm going to do my best and I'm going to put this thing out into the world, but it's no guarantee that it's going to turn into anything,
mhm,
not nearly like what it has become.
yeah,
And so for me, you know, like my level of success comes from just being able to, like, I don't need to do this full time. Like, I'm
mhm,
very fortunate to be in that position where I am literally just like creating this career for myself because I want to,
mm,
right? As opposed to needing to do it.
mhm,
Um, and so I think for me, like success, and this is kind of like what I've built towards in terms of existing in the publishing industry and like this book space and community in different facets,
mhm,
where I'm doing the podcast, I'm writing my books, and I'm collaborating with friends. I'm doing crowdfunding, Kickstarter
mhm,
type stuff, and editorial and things along those lines. And then I'm also doing book design, and now doing like project management for Grimdark magazine. And so
that's
like
cool.
these these different things is kind of like me building towards a version of what success means for me in
Mhm,
this career, which is like not getting burnt out and not getting tired of this thing that I love, and being
mm,
able to manage it in a sustainable way such that I'm able to exist in this space for a long time, while also being able to, you know, display my creativity in ways that are specifically representative of me, but then also able to allow other people the opportunity, you know, if I'm doing a book design for them or something like that, the opportunity to, you know, give a little bit of themselves to the world and like show off their creativity. So for me, it's mostly about sustainability. Like, I love doing this, but I don't want to, like, success for me means continuing to love it in the long term by giving myself the diversity of outlets and opportunities within this industry and utilizing my different skills in those different ways.
That's a nice answer. That's very considered. I like it. I it's one of my favorite questions to ask, because people will either give me like a total lie, like, oh, I'm successful right now, I don't want anything else. And you can see behind their eyes, they're like, I want a movie deal. So yeah, it always just fascinates me when people answer that question.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, of course I can say things like, I want an anime, and it's like that is like a desire, but that's not like my marker of success. You know, if I get an anime but I fucking hate what I'm doing, then it's just like, what's the point? You know what I mean?
Well, that's why I left the kitchens, because it was something that I deeply loved, but I grew to resent it because of the culture of, I read an article about it a little while ago, and I can't remember what it was called or who wrote it, so it's not very helpful. But there's this, like, I don't know if it's the same now, this culture of like being a martyr for the craft that I just couldn't subscribe to.
Yeah.
Because it was something that I really like was emotionally connected to. But I was like, I fucking hate working 90 hours a week for minimum wage. Like, this is shit. And now when I cook, I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying myself again. But it took me a long time. I was like, no, everything in the microwave, I can't bear this any longer.
Yeah. No, but it's so true though. And like I put a lot of that into A Murder Most Fungal as well. Like that sort of, you know, that it's like a combination of like martyrdom and obsession. And it's like, yeah, I understand you're obsessed with something, but like, you don't have to kill yourself for your craft. And for me, the big thing is like, you know, or in the case of A Murder Most Fungal, you don't have to kill other people for your craft. For me, it's like, you know, it's good early on to understand like what kind of hustle is involved and like what it means to like work your ass off and like lose sleep and experience burnout and all these kinds of things. But it gets to a point where you're like, is it worth it for me to do this in the long term? And the best chefs, the most successful chefs have figured out ways in order to maintain that passion and that obsession with this industry, but figuring out ways to delegate and hire people such that they don't have to be the ones who are suffering like that. You know what I mean? And not to say it's a good thing. It's just like, I'm going to hire other people for minimum wage and 90 hours a week. You know what I mean? But
cycle continues.
Yeah, but it's kind of that thing. It's like, okay, yeah, like cook becomes chef, becomes restaurateur, right? And there are different sorts of avenues, but I think it's like, if the thing is not sustainable for you, you know, it's not necessarily worth it for you or your relationship with your craft to like kill yourself over it.
I agree. Yeah. Chefs, man.
It's an interesting world.
It is.
Like, I love it, but I'm like, and honestly, writing this book has been great because like the feedback I've been getting from people, it's like there's a lot of people in the author world who used to work in restaurants.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, I mean, like my friend Evan Lycum, he wrote this amazing book, Angie Kills a King, and he's just like, we did a launch party on Tuesday, and he was just like, bro, this book gave me PTSD. But it's like, seriously, there are a lot of people who have, and then everyone else in the live stream, like all the friends that were with me, everyone was just like, yeah, like I still get you know, server dreams and server nightmares and all this kinds of stuff. And
you can hear the ticket machine going
yeah,
off.
hear the ticket machine. So it's I don't know, it's this crazy industry, and it's so, it sticks with you. So I wrote a book about it.
And it feels incredibly authentic to me, and is a little bit stressful, but in a good way.
Yeah, just like watching The Bear is stressful, you know?
Yeah, I can't watch it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like,
there are scenes in The Bear where I'm just like, you know, especially the way it's shot, the way the
mhm.
cinematography and the way it's cut and the sound and everything like that. It's just like, oh, those quick cuts, and I'm just like, I close my eyes because I'm fucking, you know, my wife's like, "What's wrong with you?" You know, and then it's like, here I am having like, you know, like I feel like a World War One vet having shell shock when he comes home or some shit, you know?
It must be a very similar, like, psychological reaction.
Oh yeah,
Because I find, like, I can't cook with other people, like, non-chefy people, because I get I'm a dickhead in the kitchen. Like, I'm awful. I cannot be around people when they're cutting things, because I'm just like, "You're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. You're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
cut yourself." And then I show them how to do it, and then they're like, I don't like that," because they haven't developed the, like,
The muscle
muscles.
memory, yeah.
Yes, exactly. I was like, "The muscles, finger muscles, muscle memory. Thank you." Um, to do it correctly, and I'm like, "Yes, pain is perfection, and then you'll be fine. But if you cut off your fingers, you won't be able to tuck them
Oh
underneath."
my god, I love this.
Um, oh, hello to
There and there I'm just imagining you just being like, "Fuck your fingers," just like
I
so
I
stressed out.
I think I had quite a bit of a reputation for being a horrible person to work with, because I just can't stand when people don't care, and don't put the whole heart in. Like, there was this dude that I used to work with who used to come to work high as shit, which is
Yeah.
whatever. Not in a kitchen though. Don't do it in a kitchen
No,
because
if you're
it's
front of house, like,
dangerous.
whatever. If you're front of house, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
But, like, if you're playing with the fire and the knives,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it infuriates me. And I remember this one shift, I just absolutely lost my shit, because he was on the grill, and we had this humongous grill where we would
Mhm.
cook our steaks, obviously. And he was just stood there staring at them burning. And I was like, we're getting ticket after ticket after ticket. And I was like, "You're going home. Fuck off." Like,
Yeah.
I'll do your job for you, because
No,
this is
'cause it's straight
stressing me
up,
out.
it's like, "Dude, you spaced out on the grill."
It's so
Like
stressful. And I still think about that sometimes. And I don't think he's a chef anymore. Anyway,
just waking up to nightmares. It's just like, "The
of
steaks are
me
burning.
screaming at him,
They're burning."
probably. I think his response was something like,
Oh my
"What's your
god.
problem, man?" And I was like, "You."
You, dude.
Anyway,
Oh my god.
before I let you leave, I have one last question.
Okay.
So, we know that you started writing, because of the knock-on effects of the pandemic. If you could go back to when you first started writing and give yourself any advice, what advice would you give?
Spend less time world building and more time writing.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
'Cause it's
fair.
like, it was good for me to, like,
Mhm,
learn all this stuff about my world and draw it and
mhm.
visualize it and everything like that, but I'm just like, there was a point that I got to where it was like, I've created so much and I've done fuck all with it.
God, I bet
You
it's
know what I
gonna be
mean?
worth a fortune one day.
I don't know. I mean, I have, like, yeah, like, folders full of
Secret.
illustrations, but it's like, I probably should have been doing that stuff concurrently with, like, actually writing something, because 'cause I'm just like,
Mm,
"Cool, world, mushroom people, blah, 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 religion and, like, architecture and everything," and then I'm just like, what's the actual story? Like,
yeah.
what are they actually doing here? You know what I mean? Who the fuck is the main character? There was no main character, like,
That is an age-old question.
oh god, yeah. So, I don't think I wasted that time,
Mm,
but I do think I could have been more conscious about, like, developing that world
mm,
and the story in conjunction, as
mm.
opposed to just, like, getting to a point where I realized there's no there,
Yeah.
and that I kinda need a there if I want a book.
I mean, that's the key component.
Ye
Um, but I think when it comes to you working with a future anime studio, which will probably happen in the next 3 years, I'm gonna put that out into the ether. In the next 3 years, we're gonna be seeing
let's
updates
manifest it.
from you. Well,
Yeah,
you have to say it, otherwise it won't happen.
yeah,
And I don't believe in, like, saying things and the universe is gonna give it to you. I believe in the form of manifestation, which is, if you keep willing it to happen, you're gonna subconsciously make the decisions to lead you to that point.
yeah,
That's why I'm like, "Oh, yeah, all these great things are gonna happen." Whether they are or not, I don't know, but it means that I actually think about my decisions. I just want to thank you so much for letting me be a part of your book tour and for letting me read this awesome book that is traumatizing me but it's stunning at the same time, and it's so weird, but like in the best way. This is one of the things I love about self-published works, is that you get to read fucking weird shit, and I'm really liking it. So yeah, I just want to thank you so much for your time. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh no, thank you. Thank you for like closing out this tour as well. This is a lovely last conversation to have for just this I don't know. It's not necessarily like I'm saying goodbye to A Murder Most Fungal, because I'm gonna keep talking about it. But like already my mind is in like different projects and everything like that. But it's been really enjoyable for me to like dive deep into why I wrote this story and like the creation of it and everything like that. And it's been so cool to meet people, and like I was looking forward to chatting with you, because you were just like, food, I used to be a cook, and they're just like, yes. And so that kind of stuff gets me excited, because I'm like, how often do I get to talk about my love of cooking in the writing world? Well, I just have to write a book about cooking, and then
talk to a chef.
And then talk to a chef. Yeah.
It's as easy as that.
Like two former chefs talking about a fictional chef. Right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, this has been such a trip, but I've had a great time. For anyone that is watching the recording, or even if you watched it live, there is a QR code that goes to Adrian's website right there. If you have a screen in front of you and you can scan it, I also have put the links below. I've made it very easy for you. Just go read the book. Go read both the books. Go check out all the stuff that you got going on. I'm going to wave now. I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll see you on the other side, and I'll see you guys next Friday. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.